So I have just finished work. It is 5 o'clock. I'm starting my commute home. I have a 35-minute drive. It was quite a decent day actually at work. It's our last day before we close for the season. We'll close for like a month. And so there was quite a few people at their caravans. I work at a caravan site. So there's quite a few people at their caravans, just like closing things down and battening down the hatches. So I did have quite a few people come in today for teas, coffees, alcoholic beverages. But I was mostly in the cellar and the safe, just like doing a stock take. So yeah, it's been an alright day, last day. The nights are actually getting longer. I was just talking about it to someone tonight where I said like I just feel like I haven't noticed any difference considering like the nights are meant to be stretching. But actually now that I think about it, I'm leaving now at 5 o'clock, and although it's dark because it's cloudy, it's not pitch dark, like it's not fully dark, lights are on full beam kind of thing, like I can still see. So the nights are getting longer. Yeah, so I'm gonna just go home, gonna chill, put my PJs on, eat some food, and I think I'm gonna be, I was gonna try and read tonight and do some reading. I really want to finish. I started a book just the other day. I started The Thursday Murder Club, the second book in the series, The Man Who Died Twice, and it's by Richard Osman, and he's like a TV presenter here in the UK, and he's written 3 books now. I read his last book, or I read his first book a few years ago. I got it for Christmas. It was quite good. It was like a murder mystery, and you know, like it wasn't too serious. I found it quite, I think I expected, because of the kind of person he is that I've seen on TV, I think I expected it to be a bit more cutthroat, a bit more serious maybe. I really wasn't too sure, but it ended up being a bit kind of like not gimmicky, what am I trying to say? It ended up being a bit more like laid back, kind of like a serious enough murder, but like because it was like old people. It's like set in a retirement village, and it's like this 4 people who are like solving cold cases, and then like I think in the first book, I've already forgotten what happens in the first book. Like since I started reading the second one, they've been talking about what happens in the first book, and I'm a bit like, I don't remember this. What? I don't even remember what the mystery was. Like that's not a good sign. Like most books I read, I maybe couldn't tell you word for word what happens, but like I could definitely tell you what the mystery was, like who died, who were the suspects, who did it, like what was the outcome. I remember the outcome. I remember who it was that was doing the killings, but I sort of don't really remember why, and I don't even really remember exactly who was killed. But yeah, so it wasn't quite what I expected. I think I had high expectations, and I didn't quite meet them. But I decided, I thought, I'm gonna get the second book in the series because I've got the first one. I'm gonna get the second because I didn't hate it, and it was different. Like I didn't feel like it was trying too hard in the way that some thrillers I've read lately. Like I read one just recently, and my friend got it for me, and it was good. I really liked the mystery. I solved the case myself, like not even like halfway into it. The way the characters spoke to each other, I was reading reviews afterwards, and like somebody hit the nail on the head with it when they said, like, you know, it was very wooden, like the way the characters were speaking to each other. Like there was the doting wife, there was like all his colleagues, they were all just very wooden, very one note. The names would, like, people would speak, and it's like just so one note that you could replace that sentence or that phrase with a different character's name saying that they'd said it, and you wouldn't notice a difference. Anyway, but like I felt like a book like it was maybe trying a bit too hard to be quite serious, and it just didn't quite hit the mark. Whereas with this book, The Thursday Murder Club, I feel like it was quite light-hearted in a way that the characters spoke. They all had quite a bit of personality about them. It was still good. I say not what I expected, because I expected it to be a bit more, maybe a bit more serious or a bit more, whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say. But it was still like good enough that I would read more. Same even with that book I was reading, that my friend got me. Like there is a first book from the series which I'd be tempted to read, and if he wrote any more and I saw it, I could be tempted by it. But it was called what was it called? The Footprints in the Snow? The Killer Christmas? No, I think the first one was like The Killer Christmas. I don't know. Was it Footprints in the Snow? I think it was written by a guy called Alex Pine. Footprints in the Snow? I think that's what it was called. Yeah, I think so. Check it and see. But yeah, so I've started second book in the Thursday Murder Club series. Not quite sure yet what it's going to be about. I only got like the first couple of chapters in. So I'm hoping I can just it's like I think it's a 420 page book, I checked. So I'm hoping that if I could just sit down like maybe tomorrow and just plow through it. I feel like it's the kind of book I could sit down and like read a good chunk of it, if not all of it, in like one sitting. So we shall see. We shall see. And yeah, so I also got the third book in the series. I got the third book for my birthday this year, because even though I hadn't read the second one, I've had the second one. I don't even think it was last Christmas. I think it was the Christmas before that my mum got it for me, and because I said I wanted to read it, and then I never ever got around to reading it, because last year I had a really bad reading year. I just did not read it. I think I read like 7 books in total, 5 or 7. It was not a good reading year for me. I don't even know what happened. I mean, I was working for the first 3 months of the year, and then I had the whole summer, and I just was not reading. I think the problem is I do all my best reading when I sit down midday, like during the day, and just sit and dedicate a day to reading. I can do quite well reading at night as well, but like at night time I'm always clock watching. I'm like, alright, I'll throw in another chapter, but it's not the same as just sitting down midday and just plowing through a book. But I miss those days. I miss those days of like starting a book and just plowing through it and finishing it. So I do have the third book in the series, which I will hopefully read sometime soon. Maybe I could read it after if I enjoy reading this one. I'm sure I will. I'm sure it'll be good. I might bring you along with me if I remember to film. That is just the bane of my existence, me trying to vlog and stuff. I'm like notorious for thinking, right, I'll start off my day filming, and then I forget to film anything. And I'm too awkward to film at work. Like, it's so weird. Even if I was just to like prop the camera up and like record myself, I'm too awkward to do that. You know those people who like record themselves making like drinks and stuff at like Starbucks or whatever, or like any kind of coffee place? I'm like, oh my god, I applaud you for having the balls to do that, because I could never sit down and film or set up a camera and talk to it. Oh my god, if they talk to it, that's even worse. Different if it's just recording. My anxiety could never. I don't even think I could ever be that person that vlogs outside in the wild when they're doing something, like, you know, if they're like out at a cafe or they're out having a meal and they're just sitting like talking to the camera, like, yeah, so I got this and I got this and show me what you got. Like, oh my god, no. If I'm out with friends as well, I will like maybe record with like my back camera on my phone, like the scenery, the whatever we're doing. But oh good lord, I could not actually sit and talk to a camera. I could feel like nobody really cares if you, like, it's the same thing as like doing things by yourself. I always thought, like, I have worked in hospitality for many years, and I've had people come in, whether it's in a cafe or just a restaurant, come in by themselves, have a drink, have a meal, whatever, and like, whether they're sitting with a laptop, sitting with a book, or just sitting like on their phone, I've never once thought anything of it and been like, wow, this girl's in by herself, or this guy is in by himself. I've never once thought anything of it, but yet I would never want to, like, I went for lunch myself on, what day was it? Thursday. And it was the first time ever I think I went into a place and like sat down with, like, I've got takeouts before. This was the first time I went somewhere and I sat, like, I ordered food and I sat, it was quite a chill place, and I sat by myself, and like I ended up on my phone the whole time anyway, just like watching TikToks and stuff. But it was the first time I've done that, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, of course no one's thinking anything of it. It's like people do things by themselves, and like I would love to do more activities by myself, like whether it's like having a little day out, a little adventure, going to things. Like, I don't always need a companion with me. I can do things by myself, like a museum or anything cool that I ever want to do and see. And if I can't get somebody to go with me because they can't get time off or their skin, like, just go yourself. I go for lunch by myself. Like, go for dinner. Treat myself to a nice dinner.
Take me home, country roads, to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mambo, take me home, country road.
So I've had quite a good reading day today. I've read roughly almost like 170-ish pages of The Thursday Murder Club, The Man Who Died Twice. It's okay. I'm interested in a sense, but I'm also a bit like, it's just, I feel like I'm having the same issues I had last time, where the way the characters talk to each other, I struggle with a lot. Like, I'm not a big fan of the dialogue. It's a bit, it's very cheesy almost. It's giving like those little, like, oh, what am I thinking of? It reminds me very much of like those little mini drama series that you would get on like the BBC or ITV like during the day, and like they have like little mysteries and it's all neatly wrapped up within like 40 minutes to an hour, and it's like the way the characters talk to each other is quite cheesy, like the Father Brown type. Is Father Brown with the guy who played Ron Weasley's dad? Like those kind of shows, like, it's especially when I find especially when it's older people, I always find the characters can be quite a bit cheesy, a bit like this little retirement village, and just the way they talk to each other, and I'm a bit like, I don't know, they're a bit, it's just, I don't know, I think I struggled with it the first time, I'm struggling with it again. It's just the way the characters talk, and they always use each other's names when they're talking to each other. Like, one of the conversations, the guy was like having a conversation, one of the like, at one point a guy was having a conversation over Skype with somebody, and he said his name like twice in a row. Like, so the guy said something and he finished a sentence saying his name, and then the other person responded, and then when they spoke again, they used their name again, and I'm like, people don't. I remember somebody pointed that out once, when it comes to writing like good dialogue and stuff, like they say people don't say each other's names as much as we think they do. Like there are situations where yes, it does happen, but also I feel like it was overused a lot. Like the names are being used too much, which I don't know why I don't like that, but I just don't. But I remember that from last time, from reading the first book. The mystery so far, what's going on, I'm not that interested in it. It's like one of the main characters, Elizabeth, who was like an MI5 agent back in the day, and she's got all these connections and stuff, and you know, she's done so much and whatever. It's like it's her ex-husband actually, but it's like somebody she used to work with has appeared on the scene, and stuff's going on. So it's to do with like her old line of work, which did kind of come into it a little bit in the last book, but it wasn't as much. It was more like she was calling in favors. So like if they were looking for somebody, or if they needed a name or they needed an address, like she would pull up her old contacts. But this time it's very much like the case is to do with MI5 and everything, which is fine. I love spy stuff. I love anything to do with like secret agents and the government or whatever, like, oh yeah, like super secret spies or whatever. But this time I'm a bit like, Elizabeth was never my favorite character. I'm not a big fan of any of the characters. Joyce is fine. A bit too, like, I don't know, just kind of gets on my nerves a little bit. Ron's just a bit of like a I just don't, honestly, I'm not really into, I'm not a big fan of the characters, honestly. Like they're fine, they're just not my cup of tea. And there's something about Elizabeth, she's a bit of like I don't know, she seems to get herself into all these situations and can just like talk her way out of anything, and like she's got a contact for everything, and I don't know what it's like for people who were like secret agents, like when they retire and they're just living their life quietly, like what kind of connections they still have. But you'd think that by now everybody she ever worked with would be dead or retired themselves, and I don't know. I overthink these things, I swear to God, I really do. But I've read a good chunk so far, and hopefully I'll read some more. I need to study. I'm doing my personal license exam tomorrow, so I really need to study for that, which is great. But yeah, so I'm getting there. I'm almost halfway through, and it's fine. Like it's fine. It's just all the characters and all the way they interact with each other. It feels like a comedy at times, honestly. And Elizabeth just turning up with like a bag full of 10k and asking the maintenance man or whoever he was to get her 10k worth of cocaine, and I'm just like, where did you get this 10k from? And the man's just like, sure, no problem. I struggle with dialogue. I like serious dialogue. I don't like, I'm a bit funny when it comes to like stuff that feels a bit more like almost like a comedy, and I can't tell if the author's trying to be serious and it's just not coming across that way, or he has this style of like almost jokey. I don't know. Every time I read, it makes me want to write, and in my brain I'm like, yes, I want to write, because I know what I would like to read, but then I never get around to actually writing because I end up procrastinating. I must study first, and when my light's going out, I knew it would. I better go. I must study and then read more. Well, yes, write too. I have managed to read up to page 257, and I am like a good chunk of the way through now. I don't think I'll get it finished tonight. I'd have to stay up pretty late to finish it, but I'll probably get it finished tomorrow. So that means I will have successfully read 2 books in January. Yay! But it's actually not too bad. Like I say, the character dialogue does get me a little bit, but to be perfectly honest, I am kind of interested in the story now. Like I'm getting there with it. Like it's growing on me. So I was doing a bit of studying as well, just to revise for my exam tomorrow and see how that goes. I should be revising and not reading though. Okay, hi. Okay, so it is now it's Tuesday? Yeah, it's Tuesday. But I haven't got around to editing this yet, so I'm just gonna chuck this in. Hello, I just dyed my hair. That's gonna be a separate video, I think. If I collected enough footage. I don't think it'll be that long. It's gonna be speedy. But I just finished reading The Man Who Died Twice by Richard Osman. Okay, I was literally just talking to my mom about it there to say that like I like it and I will probably give it 4 stars. I don't know what I reviewed the first one. Maybe I gave it 5. Maybe I should just give it 5 because it is quite a good book. But the issues that I have with it is that the characters and the way that they talk and the way that they act, and even in serious situations with like there's guns being pointed at each other, they're very jokey. It's a bit like nothing is serious in this book. Like we're talking about drug deals and £20 million worth of diamonds, and like I say, main characters getting threatened with guns. And fair enough, one of the characters, Elizabeth, she used to be like a spy, so it says like, oh, she's like used to staring down the barrel of a gun. She must have done so 20-30 times. And I'm like, okay. Okay. And I don't know, I'm just like, I'm just like, the way the characters are in serious situations, it sort of takes me out of it, if that makes sense. Like it never feels like high stakes because they're very calm about it, they're very chill, and I'm like, okay, you're not panicking, I'm not gonna panic. Whereas like if characters are panicking and it feels like, oh my god, like this person could actually pull the trigger, someone we know and love could die. Like I love high stakes in a book, you know. I do love it when an author surprises you by like killing off a main character, just something serious happening. Like you love it and you hate it. I love high stakes, and I love just being on the edge of my seat and not knowing like, oh my god, like is something bad gonna happen? Are they gonna get through this? Like I knew there was another book, so I knew they probably were all okay. But the way the characters talk, and it just kind of took me out of it. That yeah, it was alright storytelling, like, and the characters are fine, and you know, they're great in their own way, but it reads as like comedy to me. Like I was struggling to think of something to compare it to, but I remember watching this like spoof of Murder in the Orient Express one night with my parents, and it was like who was even in it? Johnny Vegas. My non-British people are not gonna know who these people are, but it was like Johnny Vegas, and it was called Murder on the Blackpool Express, and it was like a group of people on a bus. It was so dumb. It was one of those, like, it was a fun little like murder mystery, but all the characters were quite cliched, and like people died in like stupid ways, and it was like, it was just dumb. It was fun, but it was dumb. And it sometimes, the way the characters are in this book, it very much reminded me of like those kind of movies, those like spoof movies that are, you know, maybe like, I love ones that do have like a mystery to them. So like I think I loved that murder mystery with Jennifer Aniston and Adam Sandler. Like it was good, and I remember like characters in it were a bit kind of like comedy and funny, and like it wasn't that serious. There was still a good mystery overall. Like same with this book, like there was a good overall mystery keeping the plot going, but the way the characters are, it's giving comedy. It's like, it is a mystery book. It's not a thriller, it is a mystery book, which I suppose there is a difference between them. Like thrillers for me are like high stakes, serial killers, everybody's serious, like main character can't crack a joke kind of thing, which is fine, and I love that. I love it. Sometimes that they can be a bit wooden at times. Sometimes they can be a bit wooden, a bit too serious, and I'm always a bit like, Jesus Christ, man, someone crack a joke. But with this, it was like, oh, I just feel like I don't expect them to be so light-hearted, and it's still good. I don't know, I'm gonna have to look back over and see what I reviewed the first one as. Possibly 5, but maybe 4. I honestly can't think. I might give it 5 stars, then, or maybe a 4 actually, because I didn't mind the mystery. I felt like Elizabeth, one of the 4 main characters, felt a little bit too indestructible with her whole past in MI5, and I said this earlier, I love a spy character, somebody that has connections and stuff like that, but there's times that it was a little bit too tiresome. I was like, okay, you just feel like you're one of those untouchable characters that, you know, they've got a contact for every situation and nothing phases them. Like, she wasn't phased in the slightest by what was going on, and I don't know, it's just, I have the 3rd one, I'm gonna read the 3rd one. I'm not sure if I might read it straight away. I'd be tempted to, because I left such a gap between reading this one and the first one that I didn't really remember actually what happened in the first one. I know some stuff, but I couldn't fully remember it. But I might read it soon, I might not. There's only a few hours left of January. I'm wondering if I could squeeze in a final book. I'd have to sit and just read all night, honestly. Could I? I don't think I have anything that'd be small. The Queen's Gambit actually looks quite small. Let's have a look at the size of the words. Oh, those pages, that's small. Like, this book, quite a book, but like, look at the size of the writing. Like, it was big. I felt like I could read pages so quickly, like so fast. I wonder how old this book is actually. He died in 1984. So when did he write this book? First published in 1983. Well, anyway. Oh, maybe, actually, I wonder. Maybe I could try this. Nothing more to tell. I love Karen M. McManus. I liked One of Us is Lying. I've read One of Us is Next, and I've got Two Can Keep a Secret. Apparently there's more. There's The Cousins, and there's You'll Be the Death of Me. I love these edges that she does. I love when a book has coloured edges. It's like my favourite thing ever. I wonder how many pages is there. Imagine if I spoil the ending. I get scared. 356. 356. Could I read that in 3 hours? Why am I even doing this to myself? I want to play World of Warcraft. Well, anyway, I think this will probably be the end. If I do read that book by any chance, then good for me. But yeah, so this has been my weekend, and it's been pretty good. I finished reading a book, and he was a chonker. For me, anyway. He was chunky. I think it was 420 pages, so I'm quite pleased. I'm getting on track. I've read 2 books this month. I anticipated reading 12 books this year because I did terribly last year, and I thought, well, I've got so many books on my bookshelf that have been given to me and I've bought, and I just haven't been reading them. And before I buy myself any more, because I'm still buying loads of books, I want to work my way through them. So I was like, if I set myself the small goal of reading 1 book a month, which if there's 30/31 days in a month, like, even if I have a day where I just sit down and read, then surely I can get through them. Surely. Just read a couple of chapters at night. Although I must admit, I do love days like yesterday and today, when I just sit down and just read a good chunk of it. Like, so satisfying just flying through a book. I should be able to do it. So I'm already on track because I've read 2 in January. Very pleased. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video, whatever that may be. Bye.